Hey challengers, welcome to week 6 of the Axiom Success Challenge. Now here we are really getting into the back half of the challenge, and our hope is that this is going well for you. That despite the fact that many of you might have encountered some roadblocks by now, that you've learned some lessons and that you're making progress in the right direction. Now, a lot of people start to hit a plateau at this point in time, or maybe you've already hit a plateau, or maybe you are going to hit a plateau coming in the near future. These things are normal, and hitting a plateau is okay. We know that there comes a point in time where the body starts to level out a little bit, and you no longer see the same kind of linear progress that you were seeing before you hit your plateau. And that's okay. We just have to have a strategy for what to do when a plateau comes. So I'm going to share with you today 3 things that you can do to help prevent and break through your plateau. Number 1 is going to be nutrition and what we do with our nutrition. So we can look at decreasing calorie intake slightly. Typically, a 10% decrease in calories would be appropriate when you hit a plateau. So for example, if you're at 2,000 calories per day, you could look to decrease 200 calories down to 1,800. Just that slight decrease in calories could put you in a position where now you create the kind of deficit that you need to continue pushing. You see, as you lose weight, a lot of times what ends up happening is your metabolic rate decreases slightly because you are carrying less weight on your frame. So sometimes we have to make adjustments to our calories in order to continue to see results based off of that. So that's the first thing that we can do, is we can look at decreasing calories by about 10%. Now, of course, talk to your trainer, talk to your team leader, and see if that's an appropriate adjustment for you to make based off of where you were at. Number 2, let's look at increasing cardio. Now we can actually look at increasing cardio as much as 20 to 25%. So based off of how many minutes you're doing per day right now, you can look at increasing that 20 to 25%. By decreasing the calorie intake slightly and increasing our cardiovascular output, that might just do the trick to create the kind of deficit that you need to continue pushing through your results. Now, this is not something that I would recommend doing for a long period of time, but seeing as how we're in week 6, it kind of comes down to grind time, and it's okay to look at a shorter period of time where we create this deficit in order to continue producing results, with the goal in mind that after this challenge, it might be time to take a little bit of a break from the body fat loss phase and look at a maintenance or perhaps a gaining phase at that point in time. Number 3 is look at adding a pre-workout supplement into your routine. Now, supplements, they can really be there as a tool for you. And this is a time where you might want to pull that tool out of the tool belt to be able to continue to keep yourself motivated to pushing through those tough workouts. You see, if you have not used the pre-workout up until this point, you actually have an advantage in that when you use that tool, you're going to receive the energy benefits that come from using a pre-workout, and it could really help you to push through some harder workouts than what you are currently going through. So consider using a pre-workout if you have not already. If you're already using one, consider maybe increasing the amount that you are using, as long as your caffeine intake stays within that appropriate 2 to 400 milligrams, depending on how big your body weight is, how much body weight you carry. Typically what we see is around that 200 to 400 milligrams being an appropriate range for most people. We definitely don't want that caffeine intake to get too high, but you may look at doing a little bit of an increase if you can afford to do so there. So again, to recap those 3 things, number 1, let's look at adjusting calories, maybe just 10% decrease there. Number 2, so you're increasing cardiovascular output by as much as 20 or 25%. Number 3, consider incorporating a pre-workout, or possibly consider taking a little bit more if it stays within that acceptable range of caffeine intake. So that's all for this week. Attention Boot Camps, wear your My Zone, and we look forward to catching up with all of you again next week.